What's going on, my friends? Welcome to episode 2 of the Get Your Game On podcast, bringing you the hottest takes, latest stories, and spicy picks surrounding New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, national, and international sports. Hosted by yours truly, Adam Grassani, joined as always by Michael Cunningham, Alex Reich, David Heller, and Chris Kern. You can listen to the podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Episode will also be coming soon to Google Podcasts. And with all that said, it's time to get your game on. All right, welcome back.
Did it.
Welcome back to
us today.
Had a great basketball game. We won.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Did you drop 30 points like your tweet said you would?
I dropped 30, baby. Had 30 points.
Okay,
right.
You did. You backed it up. I respect it.
Awesome.
Nice.
Also, we have a special guest joining us for this episode, just like last week. We're gonna have guests on from most episodes throughout March, and then we'll start easing back to just us 5. But Alex, since you're so close with them, introduce our guest.
Alex, this is your guest.
This is my friend Nicholas. He went to my virtual sports broadcasting camp this past year, and since that we've been really close doing FaceTimes and Zooms with each other and talking about sports all the time, and I'm really glad that I got to meet him.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Alex, and thank you to the rest of you guys for having me on.
No problem, Nick. I only know you for basketball. Let's get it for you for baseball, kids. Here's a fun fact: Nick is in me and David's and Alex fantasy basketball league.
Okay.
That's a fun fact.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so
Nicholas, it's great to have you on. We're looking forward to talking throughout the entire episode. Before we actually get into the nitty-gritty, though, some programming news here, just like last week. You all should know this by now because I mentioned in the intro, but our podcast, the Get Your Game On podcast, is officially on Apple Podcasts.
we are killing it, baby. Let's clap it up,
guys?
man.
Yeah, sure.
We're officially with the big boys. And you know what? We're only gonna grow bigger from here on out.
So
we're making progress, right? And soon enough, we're only gonna get better. So let's
we have
dive
a question.
Go ahead.
So we're gonna make this a great podcast. So Alex, ask your guests some questions about baseball. Let's get into it.
I was about to get to that, Michael. So let's dive right in. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So we're gonna start off with baseball, with spring training in full swing. The regular season is about 3 weeks away. A little less than that, I believe. Around 3 weeks away. So. And we're going to preview the National League first. And Nicholas, I believe you're a big-time Dodger fan. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. So we're just going to hand the floor over to you. Talk about this upcoming Dodger season. And do you think they have a legit shot to repeat?
Well, yes, they have a legit shot to repeat. I'm very excited for a season, especially because last year was only 60 games. So it was like, okay, that at least we had something, but it didn't really feel like a full season. I am very excited to see Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers won the World Series and then arguably still went out and got the best pitcher on the market. So I think we overpaid for him a little bit. But in the past 2 years, the Dodgers have added Trevor Bauer and Mookie Betts to what was already a star-studded team. We're over the luxury tax now. We brought back Justin Turner. So I think this team is fit not just for now, but I think this team is also built long-term to win because we have guys like Walker Buehler, who is now the best pitcher on the Dodgers, though he is better than Clayton Kershaw and Trevor Bauer. Mark my words, he will be again this year. We have Cody Bellinger. Mookie Betts is still very young. So I really like what the way this team is built now, and I love the way it's built for the future.
I got a question for my man, real quick, for Nick. Nick, you're a Dodger fan. Dodgers is my National League team. How do you think getting rid of Puig was a good thing for you guys? That's my question. Why was it a good thing for you guys to get rid of Yasiel Puig?
I actually liked Yasiel Puig. I thought he was just, he was always a fun guy to watch. He was always the one guy that stood out. amongst the rest because of the way he went about himself. But at the end of the day, looking back on it, I think he doesn't really have the championship mentality. He's too immature. He's fun, great arm, great talent, but never really turned out to be what was expected when he first came up to the Dodgers. Remember when he first came up to the Dodgers were the team in last place in the NL West, and Yasiel Puig was the reason the Dodgers came back and won that division. But overall, I think it's worked out pretty good for the Dodgers considering they still continue to make the playoffs. They still continue to win the division. They've been to 3 World Series since, and won 1. So I think overall it's worked out for the Dodgers, but at the time it was hard for me to see him go.
All right.
Nick, what's your expectation on the first 5 games of the season?
The what?
The first 5 games of the regular season.
Just got to get loose. That first 5 games of the season, that's the first time you go through your pitching rotation. So you just got to get the guys comfortable. I mean, the Dodgers are so talented. They could honestly just ease into the season and start like 3-2 or 4-1 and not even play it like their C game. Like we don't have to come out of the gate hot. That's not what I'm looking for. It's not a sprint to the end. It's a marathon. It's who can last the longest at the end of the day because it's such a long season. So I'm not too worried about the Dodgers winning the first 5 games of the season. I mean, when you get Trevor Bauer as your number 3 starter, I think your team is pretty good. Don't know what we're going to get in David Price yet because he was out last year, but I do look forward to seeing him come back. But I'm not too concerned about the first 5 games of the season. That's just a warm-up.
All right, speaking of Trevor Bauer, Nick, I wanted to ask you about Trevor Bauer. Like, personally, I have my concerns with Trevor Bauer. I think at times he can be really tough to take, both on and off the field. I think, like, at his peak, I believe Trevor Bauer is one of the best pitchers of the game. We saw it last year when he won the AL Cy Young. We saw it in 2018 when he, had an amazing year, too. But aside from those 2 years, Trevor Bauer has been, kind of like a middle-of-the-road starting pitcher. So are you concerned with what kind of version of Trevor Bauer you may be getting?
A little bit. I'm not as concerned about the version of Trevor Bauer, though, as I am with the contract that we gave him. And I knew no matter what team Bauer would go to, he would get overpaid. I think his best year just so happened to be his contract year. So, I mean, you always want your best year to be your contract year. And when you can have someone like Trevor Bauer, though, a middle-of-the-road guy, be your number 3, I think that's great, especially when in front of him I've already mentioned Walker Buehler, you got Clayton Kershaw, behind him you got David Price, and then the Dodgers have a whole slew of other players they could choose to be their number 5 starters. Like, even if Trevor Bauer doesn't work out, what the Dodgers have that a lot of other teams don't have and have had for a while is depth. If one guy doesn't work out, Dodgers just call another guy up from the farm system, and he usually ends up working out. So I'm not too worried about Trevor Bauer. I do know that his numbers haven't been great except for 2 specific seasons. But at the end of the day, we got a guy that just won the Cy Young and does have World Series experience. Because remember, he was with the Indians at the time. Although I think that was the year he actually hurt his finger. So I don't know. I don't remember that he actually played with them that year. But for the playoffs, but he has a lot of postseason experience. So that's what I want on the team.
Who you think is the greatest Dodger in Dodger history?
That's a tough one because I'm not I'm just going to answer based on the players that I've seen on the team because I'm not much of a history guy when it comes to sports in general, believe it or not. I'm just more of a modern day type of guy. For me, it would be regular season, it's got to be Clayton Kershaw. And I'm actually a Kershaw hater, just for the record. Like, when it comes to the postseason, I'm like, yes, he did great last postseason, but like, I can't stand him. I was actually at the game in 2014 against the Cardinals in the NLDS when we were up 6, and then he allowed 7 runs or 8 runs in 1 inning. I was there. And I was at Game 5 against the Washington Nationals the year the Nationals won the World Series. So I've seen a lot of Kershaw chokes. But I would say regular season, it's Kershaw. But postseason, for me, it's got to be Justin Turner. Justin Turner has got to be one of the best postseason players of all time, not just on the Dodgers, but all time. If you look at his career average, if you look at his, he's very clutch. He hits home runs at when the team needs it. So for me, postseason, it's Justin Turner. regular season is Clayton Kershaw without a doubt. I don't think we're ever going to see someone pitch like Clayton Kershaw again.
Okay.
And just do a little fact check here. Trevor Bauer did pitch in the World Series
Okay.
against Cleveland. He made two starts, lost both of them, pushed the 3 games, had an ERA of 5.4.
All
Okay.
right. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Well, his postseason ERA actually isn't too bad, 2.94. So
Okay, yes.
take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, even though his World Series ERA wasn't that good, what I'm looking for is someone who has the experience of pitching in the World Series,
I agree.
And
I
that's
think
what Trevor
postseason
Bauer
stats
brings.
are overrated anyway. I think it's more about postseason experience than anything.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, the only time I really take into account like postseason statistics is if it's like a continuing trend. Like for example, like Derek Jeter and how he continually came clutch in the postseason, or as you mentioned, like Clayton Kershaw or Alex Rodriguez, how they continually like come up short in the postseason. That's where I may take into account postseason performance. But other than that, I think it's mostly just about experience.
Exactly.
All right.
Are we done talking Dodgers?
I got one last question for Nick if we still have time.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Go ahead,
We have
Big
plenty
Chris.
of time.
So Nick, if
Nicholas, you got time, right? I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So Nick, who would you say is the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the NL though?
Good question.
It's in the division, and it's the San Diego Padres.
Oh.
If you look at the division as a whole, the 3 best pitchers that were moved this offseason all went to the NL West. Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, and Trevor Bauer, all in the NL West. 2 of them went to the San Diego Padres. Now, the only pushback on the Padres for me is that this feels a little bit like a repeat what we saw in 2014 when AJ Preller went out and got Matt Kemp and Justin Upton and all these other guys. But this time around, I feel like they're doing a better job focusing on the pitching, and Yu Darvish was considered to be a Cy Young candidate last year. Blake Snell did pitch really well in the World Series against the Dodgers. I still have questions as to why Kevin Cash ever took Blake Snell out of that one game.
No one ever understand that.
But I'm not gonna be mad about it because the Dodgers did end up winning the World Series. But it's the San Diego Padres without a doubt. And then we can't forget Manny Machado. I hate the guy. I just don't like the way
I don't like him either.
But I got to give him credit. He's bounced back. He had a great season last year. Eric Hosmer was much healthier last year. He was better last year. Fernando Tatis Jr., generational
I love
talent.
Tatis.
But the one pushback I do have on Tatis is that if you look, he's played technically 2 seasons, but because of injuries, he's really only played 1 full season, like 142 games or something like that. But he is a generational talent. So I think it's the San Diego Padres without a doubt.
I completely agree. The Padres, aside from Manny Machado, who like you, Nicholas, I don't really like. I love that entire team. Fernando Tatis. I think what the Padres are doing right now is excellent for baseball. They're actually going out there and spending money and acquiring talent. They're not one of those teams that are trying to sell off their talent like before they have to pay. Like you see, like what the Rays are doing, what to a lesser extent the Indians are doing. You see what the Colorado Rockies did with trading Nolan Arenado. Like I liked it in these teams, not only spend money to acquire players, but also take care of their own players, actually pay their own players. And
let me just say an honorable mention to me, a threat to the Dodgers will also be the Atlanta Braves. I think that goes without saying, though. The Atlanta Braves been in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Why do you think the Braves will be a threat to you guys, even though the Atlanta Braves hasn't been doing great in the last 3 to 5 years?
No, the Atlanta Braves made the playoffs the past 2 years. They did struggle against the Dodgers in the division series a couple of years ago. Actually, it was 3 years ago. They made the playoffs 2 of the past 3 years. Then they missed it in 2019. They made it again in 2020. And then a lot of people forget that, of course, the Braves blew the 3-1 lead to the Dodgers in the NLCS last year, but the Braves were without Mike Soroka. Now they're getting Mike Soroka back, and they brought in Charlie Morton, who left the Tampa Bay Rays. So you add those 2 guys to a team that took the eventual World Series champion Dodgers to 7 games, and I think the Braves are just right behind the San Diego Padres as the next biggest threat to the Dodgers in the National League.
All right, I want since we talked so much about the Dodgers and everything, we talk about the Dodgers, the Padres. There's one other team that we've got to talk about here since it says, we talk about surrounding New York sports. We got to talk about the Mets. The Mets, they had I would say a pretty impressive offseason, like with the trade for Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. They also signed James McCann. I believe they re-signed Marcus Stroman. I'm pretty sure they had a couple other moves that I'm not thinking of, but I think this is going to be a big year for the Mets. I think if the Mets don't make the playoffs this year, I think that's a colossal disappointment because when you look at all the moves they made, like I said, getting Lindor, like you got into a lineup with Peter Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Michael Conforto had a big year last year. You add like Lindor to a lineup with so many studs, and you add Carlos Carrasco to a rotation with Jacob deGrom, Marcus Stroman, if Noah Syndergaard can go back and be healthy, that's a huge boost. When you look at the Mets this year, I think it's playoffs or bust for them.
This is a make or break season for the Mets. They went all out and said, you know what? They just got a new owner in Steve Cohen. They said, let's go all out. Let's spend all the money. We don't really care about the luxury tax right now. They got Francisco Lindor, arguably one of the best players in the game, one of the best shortstops without a doubt, one of the best, if not the best piece that moved this offseason. If it doesn't work out for the Mets this year, I think we see the Mets finally hit the full-fledged rebuild and just completely start from scratch, because you're not going to – listen, I don't think you're going to have another season from Pete Alonso like you saw a couple years ago. Pete Alonso, really good player, but I just don't think he's going to have a repeat of his rookie year. Jeff McNeil is a really solid player, but like these guys are like Jeff McNeil and stuff like that. They're already in their prime. It's not like they just came up and they're like 21 or 22. It's make or break. Francisco Lindor, the face of the team right now, is already in his mid to upper 20s. Like they don't have time to go through another rebuild with a Francisco Lindor and a Pete Alonso and a Jacob deGrom, arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now. Jacob deGrom is not a young up-and-coming guy. He's already made a name for himself. He's already won Cy Young 2 years in a row. So before last year, before Trevor Bauer won. But the Mets, for them, this is a make-or-break year. If they do not at least make the playoffs this year or win a round in the playoffs, they're going to go and rebuild.
One thing I got to add about that. The Mets has always been the Yankees' shadow. You know what I mean? Only time the Mets ever been relevant was in 2014, and they lost to the Royals that year.
2015,
they lost to the Royals. The Mets are forever going to be in their shadow. Here's what they got to prove to me: you're the best shortstop in the best player in the game in Lindor.
Best player in the game, Francisco Lindor.
The best shortstop. The best shortstop. Okay. In the game, probably the greatest offseason move in MLB history in this decade.
Offseason move in MLB history.
In this decade. Well, here's the thing: you got all that money. You got all that money to sign him, and you got rid of Cespedes to sign him. Here's the thing: it's the time to put up or shut up. It's time for the Mets to put up or shut up.
I agree. Because we've seen hype surrounding the Mets before, and they always come up short. I think this is the year where I think they need to at least make a serious run at the playoffs. Because if they don't, and I'm not as pessimistic as you are, Nicholas, that if they don't make it this year, they have to start rebuilding. I do think they still have some time, but I definitely think they need to show improvement this year to not only show that things have changed with the Mets, but also to convince Francisco Lindor and sign a long-term extension. Because if Lindor does walk, I think that signals the Mets going back into a rebuild.
Let me just say right now, the Mets are the Clippers of baseball. The Mets have always been in the shadows of the Yankees. The Clippers have always been in the shadows of the Lakers. It doesn't matter what the Mets or Clippers do. They will always fail you at the end of the day. Always. They are the exact same two teams, but different sports.
And the Clippers are actually doing pretty good. Like, it's not like they're like a bad team, but like I said, they're
The
always going to be in the
Clippers
shadow
are
of
the
the
second
Lakers.
best team, the third best team in the Western Conference. But however, let's see. I'm predicting things
Like
on camera.
the difference between the Mets and the Clippers is that the Clippers have been in like playoff contention and they've competed, for titles and stuff. They've been like a serious playoff contender. We haven't seen that from the Mets yet, but hopefully this is the year they start seriously competing. Like I know plenty of Met fans who are sick and tired of watching their team, miss the playoffs every single year. So to all my fellow Met fans that are listening, I'm rooting in a brotherly way, because as a Yankees fan, like we always have like some sort of rivalry with the Mets, but from a brotherly way, I really hope the Mets, do good for you guys this year. So, any final thoughts on the National League from anyone?
Yep. No.
All right, so we're done with the National League, so we're gonna move on to the segment which we've officially decided we're gonna do every single episode, and that's Mike's Hot Take. Michael Cunningham, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, my hot take of the thing is why I think the Yankees will have 28 World Series, about their 28 championship at the end of the season. Let's see. We have probably the best player in the American League in DJ LeMahieu, who should have been the MVP twice. He got robbed. And then you have a healthy Aaron Judge coming back. We have Gary Sanchez. We have Torres. And you got Chapman coming back healthy. So who is beating that team? And this is the thing. We're not losing anymore. This is think about it. If the Yankees went, only way they could lose this season if they beat themselves by injuries. That's why we keep losing, is our injuries every year. And plus, the only reason why we kept losing in those conference finals was of the cheating actions of the Houston Astros, who admit that were caught by the league by stealing signs. What the Red Sox were doing every single year. Am I right or wrong, Adam?
You were right on a couple of things, but you were wrong about a couple of things. First, I'm going to call out the stuff that I think you were wrong on. First of all, DJ LeMahieu, I love DJ LeMahieu. He's been the Yankees' best player like over the past 2 seasons, but the best player in the American League, I can't buy that, Mike. I'm sorry.
Nah, he is the best player.
He's not the best. Well, I'm going to give you all the players in the American League right now that I think are better than DJ LeMahieu. Number one, Mike Trout. That's a no-brainer. When he's healthy, I would say Aaron Judge is better than DJ LeMahieu. When he's healthy, Aaron Judge has been healthy over the past 2 seasons, so I do agree that DJ LeMahieu has been their best player over the past 2 seasons, but it's only because Aaron Judge hasn't been healthy. When Aaron Judge is healthy, he's better than DJ LeMahieu. Let's see, who else? Who else is in the American League that I'm not thinking of?
All right. And the point is, I'm just saying.
I have more that I can list. I'm just letting you know.
I know. I'm just saying the Yankees will win number 28 in the Bronx on 161st Street in Bronx, New York. The Yankees will win number 28. And I will be in that parade celebrating the Yankees World Championship with my mom and my dad when they win the World Series championship this year. Am I right or wrong, big guy? We'll be celebrating.
As a Yankees fan, I hope you're right, Big Money Mike. I hope you're right.
There's only one team that can beat the Yankees, and that's the injured list. The injured list. Because you mentioned twice. You said if healthy. You said if healthy about Aaron Judge, and I think you said if healthy about one other guy.
Giancarlo Stanton.
You mentioned and Aroldis Chapman. So
there's
and
so
Giancarlo
many
Stanton
guys
too.
you can say that about.
That's the only way we will lose the
on the
injury
Yankees.
list.
Arguably, at times, the Yankees injured list is more talented than the team they can put on the field. Sometimes it's ridiculous. The lack of luck that the Yankees have had.
I'm saying you got a point, my brother. I'm just saying the Yankees will win number 28, and we're going to be celebrating. Me and Adam will be celebrating in the Bronx in the big old ballpark. What Reggie Jackson used to call it the big old ballpark in the Bronx. and I'm going to be lit in the
As
Bronx.
long as it's safe enough by then. But
As
are you
long as it's
saying
safe enough
Yeah.
by that too? Yeah,
Are-
let's
are
back
you-
that into Mike.
are you saying they're going to be the Dodgers? I mean, do you think it'll be the Dodgers and the Yankees? I don't want to get into
I
I'm
think
putting this
I
on
think it will
record.
be a Dodgers
For
and the
my
Yankees
hot
in the
take,
World Series.
It's going to be the Yankees versus the Dodgers in the World Series.
And that series would be very interesting. I think that series could go either way, honestly.
Nick, you know you my homie. We talk about basketball all the time, but baseball, the Yankees will beat the Dodgers, and I'm a Dodger fan. That's my National League team because of one man, the late great Jackie Robinson.
God rest his soul.
The Yankees will win in 7. I'm saying that on now, from God to God, the Yankees will beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series, hands down.
I don't because we're not doing World Series predictions. I don't want to get into an argument, but what I will say is that if we do get Yankees Dodgers, I would have to say that might be the most talented World Series ever. If you look at both rosters, if they're both healthy by the
could
time
not
we get to the
agree
World
more.
Series, top to bottom, the two deepest teams in baseball, the two most talented teams in baseball, and I think it would be one of the most viewed, if not the most viewed, World Series ever.
So I'm saying if the Yankees don't make it out the AL, their backup team, I'm going to say, will probably be Houston.
I don't think it's Houston. I think
No,
Houston's
it would be the
starting to
White
fall
Sox.
off.
The White Sox.
The White
I agree.
Sox.
I think and this is something that we're gonna get into right now. And that is the American League. And when we're talking about the American League, let's face it, it's all about the Yankees. I think if there's anyone that could compete with the Yankees, I think it would be the White Sox. But even then, the White Sox still, haven't proven anything in the postseason, at least not yet. So
I think I'm not saying.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was saying I think the White Sox are a couple years behind the Yankees. I'm not saying that the White Sox will ever be as good as the Yankees are now, but I think when you look at lack of experience on that team, besides Dallas Keuchel being on the White Sox, I do think that it would be a couple years before we could seriously see the White Sox compete with the Yankees. But right now, I would still say the White Sox are the second best team. I just think there's a wide gap between. I think the gap between the number 1 team, the Yankees, and the number 2 team, the White Sox, in the AL, is a wider gap than the Dodgers, the number 1 team in the NL, and the number 2 team, the Padres, in the NL. I think there's a wider gap on the AL.
I agree.
I would agree.
I could not agree with you more.
Say it's much bigger. Much bigger.
I think, and we've seen Alan Yankees, and they have broken my heart in recent years with the multiple times where they've come up short in the postseason. Mike, you could say that cheating scandals with the Astros and the Red Sox played a role in that, but regardless,
absolutely 100%.
The Yankees have come up short in the postseason.
The reason why we lost those years because
reason,
the Astros admitted on record that they stole our plays. And they had a guy watching our signs, which in baseball is extremely illegal to do.
I agree. I think what the Astros did was, I thought the whole entire situation with the Astros was disgraceful, and as it does make me upset. But
and embarrassing.
At the same time, they Yankees still haven't, made it to the World Series or won the World Series since 2009.
Think about it. As
a Yankees fan, I would be lying if I said I wasn't growing a little bit impatient. So I think this is the year for the Yankees to finally get over the hump, to finally, at the very least,
put up or shut up
to the World Series. I think this is the year where they need to get to the World Series, because when you look at the American League, it is wide open for them for the taking. The closest team, to them is again the White Sox, which again they're a young, unproven team. Who else is there? The Minnesota Twins. You're telling me the Minnesota Twins with their postseason failures are going to beat the Yankees in the postseason series? Give me a break. Who else? The Athletics. The Athletics are a talented team, but they suffer from a similar problem as the Twins. They haven't proven that they could get it done in the playoffs. I think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to take a step back from last year because they lost Blake Snell and Tyler Glass now. The Toronto Blue Jays are an interesting team. We'll see what happens with them. They made the playoffs last year, but again, they're nothing proven. And again, the Houston Astros, you're missing Justin Verlander, and you just lost George Springer. So I definitely think the Astros are going to take a step back. So I think this is the year where the Yankees should, be the runaway favorites to win the American League. And if they don't do it this year, then really we're gonna have a serious
I
talk about the
don't know
Yankees.
if the Yankees don't do it this year. I don't know when they do it, but I also feel the same with the Dodgers. Like I understand the Dodgers just won the World Series, but at the same time, both of the teams are in the exact same place. If they don't win the World Series this year, then what else do they really need? If you look at both teams, they have everything you need.
Well, here's the thing with the Dodgers is they at least won the World Series last year.
They
So
at least won it. But now
the Dodgers were in a similar situation to what the Yankees are right now. Like they were a team that could never get over that postseason hump, and last year we saw them finally get over that postseason hump. So I think this is the year for the Yankees to do the same thing. Because again, if they don't, like I said before, Yankee fans are starting to grow impatient. I can't imagine how much more impatient than if they fail to at least make it to the World Series again this year.
Yeah, but here's my thing though: is I think it's gonna be a little different because now we're going back into a full 162 game season. I think the Dodgers were helped a lot with a 60 game season because guys like Clayton Kershaw in their 30s. I don't think Kershaw would have lasted a whole 162 game season into the playoffs. I just don't think so. Based on what I've seen from Kershaw the past, what has it been? 8 straight years in the playoffs now, I think, something like that. So I think the 60 game season is a lot different. Of course, a championship is still a championship. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Dodgers. Some people can if they want. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, all I know is that we have the championship. But now in a 162 game season, when you had a guy like Trevor Bauer coming off a Cy Young, and if you can't win then in a full season, how do you win in a full season? Same thing with the Yankees, though. Same thing. As long as they stay healthy, and if they don't win the World Series, it's like the question is, what else do they really need?
Exactly. We're sick and tired of having the same conversation over and over again.
I'm tired of the one
need to get over the hump. I think this is the year where they really need to get over the hump. And
trust me. Let me just before we move on, I just want to say, trust me, I also really just want the Dodgers to win the World Series again this year because I just want those few people that say, "Oh, but it was a 60 game season." I just want to have him shut up.
All right,
so that was my hot take, and we're going to talk about the Philly spring training.
Well, no, we're talking about spring training in general, since we're going to talk about spring training in general. As the Yankees fan, I want to tell you what I've seen from spring training this year, like my takeaways from spring training, and one takeaway that I've had from spring training. And this answers a question of mine that I had going to the year is concerning my favorite player on the Yankees. Guys, can you only take a guess to what my favorite player on the Yankees is?
Torres.
That's
Aaron
it.
Judge.
My favorite player on the Yankees is Gleyber Torres. I love the kid. Brings so much energy. When you watch him on the field, he plays like a little kid out there. He brings so much enthusiasm, and he's so much fun to watch. And he's super good too. He's going 24 years old, and he I think has the potential to be one of the best shortstops in the game. And last year, I'm not gonna lie, it was a disappointing year for Torres. He hit only like 240. Had an OPS of just over 700. And he was terrible defensively. I believe he led all major league shortstops in X amount of innings. He had the worst defensive run saves. Out of all major league shortstops. I believe in I don't know how X amount of innings. I have to look that up later. But then we heard over the offseason that Gleyber Torres because of there was no place to work out and because of the pandemic and everything that he came into the second spring training camp out of shape. And I want to use that as an excuse for Gleyber because you should still show up to camp in shape, but he was not the only one to show up to camp out of shape. I believe we saw that with I forget who was on the Blue Jays. I believe I forget his name. His whoever it is, it's slipping my mind right now. Gleyber was not the only one to show up to camp out of shape, and from all reports we've seen from this season, he's in excellent shape. He said recently on the R2C2 podcast, with Ryan Rucco and Cece Sabathia, excellent podcast. By the way, you should definitely check them out. So So he recently said on that podcast that after the Yankees got eliminated by the Rays last year in the ALDS, like he told his wife that he didn't want to go on vacation this year and he wanted to like spend some time, getting back into shape and improving on his defense. And if you watch the during spring training, I say it's paid off. He's played I don't know how many games, but he's yet to make an error at shortstop. He looks really good. He looks like he's in much better shape. He's much more mobile. He's making plays. He's making like tough plays, routine plays. And like I said, I don't think he's made an error yet. And he's looked great to play too. He's hitting like over 400, I believe, and he has 2 home runs. So I think this year, and this is gonna be kind of like my hot take, I think this is gonna be a big year for Gleyber Torres. I think he will be serious contender for American League MVP.
Here's what I say, boys. I'm saying Kansas. I'm going to say this. I have my friend that lives in Kansas City. Chris is probably going to disagree with me. The reason why Kansas City hasn't been well was since the passing of Robin Ventura, their pitcher that died, the one that died from the DR. Adam, what's that dude's name? Robin something?
Yordano Ventura.
He was a Spanish guy from the DR. Rob something Ventura.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah,
Yordano Ventura, right? Isn't that the guy
it
who
was
died in
Yordano.
a car accident?
This may sound messed up. They haven't been good since he passed away. They haven't been good. And since you guys got rid of Lorenzo Cain, and when you guys got rid of Lorenzo Cain, who was by far the face of your team. And I'm saying Lorenzo Cain from 2012 to 2014 was probably in the top 5 greatest players in the American League. He was the most underrated but best player in the league. In the AL, one of the best. His playoff performances were amazing. So I'm saying the Yankees will be dominant or we're going to win at least 30 World Series by the next 5 years, at least 5 or 10. I'm going to say that on record.
Whoa.
I'm making a
Mike, you're coming with a lot of hot takes today about the Yankees, and I love it.
In the next 5 to 10 years, you guys will get to at least 30 World Series total?
Yeah, we'll get at least a 30. We have 27.
You're at 27. Okay, 27 right now, 5 to 10 years.
I don't think 30 is completely unreasonable. Well, it depends. When do you think they're going to get the 30 by? By the end of the decade?
By the end of the decade, we're going to get 30.
I don't think that's completely unreasonable.
I think we're going to
it'll be super tough, but I mean,
it'll be tough. I don't think it's
dominant for a while.
I mean, it'll be tough. I don't think that's completely.
It'll be tough, but it's not unrealistic. It'll be tough because you will have a team like the White Sox that are up and coming, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers are going to remain competitive. The Atlanta Braves are only going to get better. The Padres are only going to get better. So you're going to have more.
The Mets too. The Mets are on.
Alex, don't you dare mention anything about the Phillies getting better. They're only getting worse. Okay. So
wait. I got to
yeah, that's the thing. Since we are a New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, national and international sports podcast, as I say in the intro, Alex and David, you both are Phillies fans. So you know what? We're gonna give you the floor for a couple of minutes and to talk about the Phillies and their spring training. So you know what? The floor is yours.
You want to start?
Sure. Before I go into the Phillies, I want to go back to the topic of when the Yankees' next World Series appearance would be. And my guess is by the end of Bryce Harper's contract, they will have a World Series appearance.
Okay, before we start talking about Yankees World Series appearances, can we talk about when the Phillies are going to make the playoffs next with the team they have? That's a team on paper that should be making the playoffs. So stop talking about the Yankees winning the World Series. At least the Yankees can make the damn playoffs with talent. You guys get Bryce Harper and you can't even make the playoffs. Explain that first.
Yo, Nick, I'm going to put soap in your mouth. Jeez. Okay. To add on to Nick's statement, I don't think the Phillies will be even relevant in the playoffs. Here's the thing, Alex. You guys haven't been in the playoffs and actually did well. Was in 2009 when you guys lost to. What team did you guys lose to? It's on my memory a little fuzzy. Who did you guys lose to in 2009? Rivera throws a pitch. Rivera gets the chopper, throws it. Yankees win 27 World Championships. Adam, who did the Yankees beat in 2009 to win the 27 World Championship?
The Philadelphia Phillies.
Okay. And the last time you guys won a World Series was in 08. When's the last time you guys, Alex?
Only
Wasn't
two
Adam?
World Series titles.
Adam, how many? Was the last time the Phillies were in the World were made to the playoffs?
They won it since 2011.
You haven't been in the playoffs since 2011. We're in 2021.
I didn't
10
realize it was
years
that
ago.
long. Dang.
10 years ago. I'm saying, my friend Alex, you know I love you. You're my brother. You're my man. 50 grand. You know this, right?
Yo,
I don't think.
let me give you some. I gotta tell you something. The Phillies got so much cap space to get a great bullpen guy, Avelado, he's been tough as a rock during the spring training with his changeups, with everything about him. His mechanics has been awesome, and he's going to be a great. I would say he might be a second Bradage. I think he has the skills to be a second Bradage.
You guys only signed him for $1 million, and you're gonna sit here and tell me you guys had a lot of cap. You guys almost didn't re-sign JT Real Mucho. Your owner first came out and said we couldn't even afford you, and then you guys had to go over the cap for him.
And we signed Didi Gregorius.
Jose Alvarado got signed for $1 million, and you're gonna tell me you guys had a bunch of cap space? No, that's not true, Alex.
And plus, you're still paying Bryce Harper an eight-year deal, a ton of money. And I'm saying, and then you guys had to pay Didi. One of my favorite Yankees. I was sad to see him go. Was Didi.
Yankee fans here, we love you, Didi.
But you had to pay him, and I'm saying that Didi is better than Bryce Harper because the way how Bryce Harper is probably the most stupidest man in baseball history. You pay a ton of money to sign with the Phillies, but you leave the Nationals to go for a championship, and the team didn't even make the champion playoffs.
No, that's because Bryce Harper is the reason. Bryce Harper is the reason.
Can I mention something about that? I remember from when I was growing up. I remember, Phillies traded Jason Roth, and the Nationals give him a lot of money, and we hated the Nationals giving him a lot of money.
Well, okay. I'm just saying, David, you're my man. You're my ace, my rock star, 50 grand. I don't think the Phillies weren't that good since they had a guy by the name of Bobby Abreu. That was the only time they were relevant. When they had Bobby Abreu, when they had Mike Lieberthal, Jimmy Rollins. And Jimmy Rollins was probably the fastest shortstop besides Derek Jeter in that era. There are only three great shortstops in that era. Were Nomar Garcia-Parra, Derek Jeter, and Jimmy Rollins. But you consider A-Rod a shortstop in his earliest career. But then you put A-Rod at third base. So I'm just saying.
Mike, how about Shane Victorino?
Shane Victorino was okay, but you had in the early 2000s, you had three shortstops.
How about Chase Utley, the man?
Chase Utley, don't get me wrong, had the best hitting streak since Joe DiMaggio. He hit the best hitting streak. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. My hot take for the Phillies this season.
Go ahead.
So my hot take is that Alec Baum will have 6 home runs in his first 27 at-bats.
Okay.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
For all you guys. I got a question for all you guys. This goes for Nick, Chris, Adam, and Alex, and David. Do you think Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak will ever be broken? 56 weeks.
I don't think not in our lifetimes.
Look at the way the game is played today.
Definitely, yeah.
Look at the way the game is played today, where it's a lot of strikeouts or home runs. You don't see many guys get on hitting streaks anymore. The guy that's most likely to do it though is a DJ LeMahieu, in my opinion, because that guy, he can get on base no matter what. But the way the game is headed, I just think that hitting streak is too tough to beat right now. I think eventually we'll start to see the game one day transition back to the days of the non-home run ball. But right now, it's too much in the home run era to say yes.
Honestly, I think somebody can do it. Because Chase Utley got close. He had a 32-game hitting streak. That was like 5 weeks.
But remember, like I
That's
said,
still a lot.
baseball that wasn't the home run era as much as it is
Yeah.
now.
Nah,
It's
but
changed
Chase
so much
Utley
even
was in
since then, though.
Barry Bonds, no disrespect, Nick. Barry Bonds started the home run era. Think about it. Barry Bonds from the late 90s to the 2000s, Barry Bonds was the home run champion.
No. I understand that, but if you look at like at least half the guys in the era in this game now are just home run or strikeout guys. Like that's not going to help you get a hitting streak. In my opinion,
point. Because people say home runs also counts for your hitting streak as well. Home runs, singles, that still counts as a streak.
Mike, don't forget Ryan Howard went to Slug World 2005, and he won a home run champion.
You don't care about Brian. Ryan Howard was overrated. Enough said.
He's big piece. Big piece.
Okay, he was a good piece for you guys. Your best player that you guys could
That's
even
his
sign
nickname.
him, could even keep him was Jimmy Rollins and Bobby Abreu. And where did Bobby? Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this on Phillies baseball. Bryce Harper is probably one of the best players in the National League. One of. Can he do something that he has done in his career? Win a championship. I don't think the Phillies will win a championship in the next 5 to 10 years.
he can win a championship. He just can't be the leader of the team that wins the championship.
100% agree with you.
Like he needs to be like
He
the
needs to have another
Batman to a
superstar.
Robin. He needs to be
He
like
needs
a
another
Robin to a
Batman.
Batman.
He can't be Batman and have Didi become Robin.
Like
People
needs another
people
all-star.
ask
Like-
why. People
like
ask
for
how
example,
the
like
Nationals.
he would need to be like the Stanton to a Judge. You would say.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
a big three in baseball. Like the Yankees have a big four. LeMahieu, Stanton,
Don't
Sanchez,
forget,
Judge. They're big four. That's their big four.
Mike.
I don't know
Don't
about
forget.
I would put Torres in there instead of Sanchez.
Don't forget about Reese Hoskins.
Reese Hoskins, don't get me wrong, is a player of his own.
Big fella.
He's a solid player, but are you gonna tell me that Reese Hoskins is the second guy, like part of that big three? I don't even know what your guys' team big three is, but
Yeah.
when Reese Hoskins is in your big three, you guys got some work to do.
All
I'm
He
saying
right.
was
the
a
Yankees
rookie
have
before.
a good big three. The Dodgers have a big three.
You
The
can
Yankees
make up,
have the two.
okay, I'm just gonna say for the Dodgers and the Yankees, you can make up multiple big threes and it'll work just fine.
Yeah.
The Yankees have
I
the
mean,
two of the best power hitters in the league. In Stanton and Judge. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
I agree.
In the American League, you have Aaron Judge that can hit home runs like it's no tomorrow. Am I right or wrong, Nick? Am I right, Nick? Am I right or wrong, my brother?
You're right.
And you have Chapman, before his arm got messed up, was probably the greatest closer in the American League. Fact or fict?
Fact.
He was pitching over 104 miles per hour, I believe. His highest pitch was 110. And he is the second coming, in my opinion, of Mariano Rivera.
What? Wait, hold up.
Hold on.
Coming,
Hold
a second
on.
coming of Mariano Rivera.
Did
No.
that,
Let's relax.
Michael? Those words
No.
did not just come out of your
No.
mouth.
No, I just want to screw with you guys. I just seen your opinion.
No, don't.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to see
you're
how Nick
serious
Don't
about that.
scare us
Shut
like
up.
that
No
again,
No,
Mike.
no.
Did he actually hit 110 on a pitch too? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Nick,
Really?
your face was priceless, Nick. Your face was priceless.
I had to cut you off right there. I couldn't let you continue lying with that.
No.
All right,
Michael,
all
we're gonna be
Listen,
honest with
listen.
our viewers.
I may be a guest,
Oh, yeah,
but at the same time, I'm just gonna go off. I don't care.
Yo, Nick, we got to put you on mute for a second. Nick, we got to put you on mute.
All right.
So we're going to do, since we're running out of time,
Okay. Can I take the floor, Michael?
go
All
right ahead.
So, wait, Nick, did you have anything left to say?
I've said a lot so far. I think
All
I'm
right,
good. I think I
all
let
right,
everything
okay,
out.
you're good.
We're going to do our bets.
Well,
Are you doing bets, Chris?
since we're running low on time for this episode, so it's time to move on to the
To Chris.
final segment. As you know, it's the final segment we do on every single episode, and that is your bet of the episode. So, everyone, Nicholas. Since you're a guest, you do not have to participate, but you can if you want to. Don't worry, we will not count your record. The other five of us, though, we will count this to your record. So, everyone, like, you read about your favorite sports book, like we're using FanDuel for the official odds, but you can make your bet on any like sports book. You don't have to actually place money on a bet, but make your bet of the episode. And I'm gonna go first. Before we do that, my apologies. We have to recap last week's bets of the episode. I took an L with the Oilers over the Senators. The Oilers won, but they did not cover the 1.5 goal spread, so I took an L there. Alex, you took an L by picking Pepperdine over 78.5. They almost got you there, bud, but not quite. So you take an L. Chris, you took an L. You took Pepperdine over BYU on the money line. If you had taken them on the spread, you would have gotten it, but you decided to get greedy. I'm going to give you a pass that one. I admire the courage, but you still take an L for that one. And David got a W. He took Gonzaga over St. Mary's on the spread. And Gonzaga ended up covering the 18 points. And Michael, you got the W. Duke over Boston College on the spread minus 12.5. They covered. You got the W. So, all right. So now we've recapped last week. Let's go ahead and move on to this week. And I'll go first. I'm going to NBA this time. I'm looking at the Pacers and the Lakers, and the Lakers are favored by 4.5 points. Now, I do expect the Lakers to win this game, but are they 4.5? But do I expect them to win by more than 4.5 points? I don't see with the Lakers, still missing Anthony Davis, and they're not the best team at home. I mean, they're a good team at home, but when you look at the Pacers, they're a great team on the road. I believe they have above 500 record on the road. So this is a game where I could definitely see the Pacers keep me close. I'm not sure if they'll win, but I definitely think they will, cover the 4.5. So I'm going to take the Pacers plus 4.5.
Chris, you're next, big fella.
Nice. Yeah, so it sounds good. So I'm going to stick with another college basketball pick this week, and I'm going to go with the Nevada-San Diego State game, not the Mountain West semifinal matchup. The current spread I see is San Diego State minus 8.5, and I think Nevada will easily cover that. I'm not going to go as crazy and pick them to win. I think they have a good chance because they're playing good basketball, but I think Nevada will easily cover that 8.5 spread tomorrow night.
All right. Next.
Alex, you go next.
Okay. I'm going to say Sandro Mamadou-Feely for Seton Hall is going to have more than 17 points tomorrow night against Georgetown.
Gotcha.
17, not 70.
All right. Yeah. I'd be worried if you picked them to go over 70 here, Alex. All right. So who wants to go next?
David, I'm going last.
I'm going to pass because I can't think of any games.
Just look.
If you pass, then you automatically take an L, David, for this week.
Oh, let me look at the games on ESPN app.
All right, so we'll get back to you, Dave. We'll get back to you. All right, Mike, you want to go in the meantime?
I'll go last. I'm still thinking.
I'll do something.
All right,
Adam,
Nicholas, you go. All right,
okay.
just to kill us some time.
Yeah, just to kill some time. I was actually thinking about the Pacers-Lakers game too. I'm going to pick the Lakers to cover.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go against what you're doing. Same game, but opposite prediction. Lakers are going to cover the 4.5 point spread.
All right, I appreciate the courage.
David, you're up. But pick a team. Just pick the Sixers and Wizards game tomorrow.
Bradley Beal will probably drop 60 on you guys, and they're still going to lose to the Sixers. That's what Bradley Beal does. He'll just score, but they still lose.
So David picks the Sixers against the Wizards.
We need to hear the bet officially from David himself, though.
Come on, David, pick.
I go with what Big Mike said.
So you're taking the Sixers plus. You're taking the Sixers on their spread, right?
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. All right.
All right,
Mike, you're last.
ladies and gentlemen. I remember I was 1-0, just like my buddy David Heller was last week. This pick for me is strictly love and physical. Everybody knows my two favorite teams in basketball are the Lakers and the Knicks. Adam, how long we been watching sports together, Alex and Adam? For me and Adam, it's been over 10 years. Alex has been over 5 years. This big, I'm going strictly personal. I'm saying it's a bounce back game for my Lakers. I'm saying the Lakers will cover and win by 6 or more. LeBron's going to have at least 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. That's my prediction.
All right, so you're taking the Lakers on the spread then.
Lakers by the spread, and LeBron
right.
doing the player bet on LeBron having 20
You can only do one or the other though. You can't do both.
I could do both as part of my bet. Double the odds.
Let him do both.
All right,
What
so
the odds?
okay,
He's
so
gotta
but
get both.
But if they fail both, then your bet counts as an L. All right, are you willing to take that risk?
I'm ready. LeBron's
All right.
getting 20 points, 8 rebounds, or 8 assists, somewhere in that region.
All right,
Predicting.
all right.
And if I win on one, I get a half a win. I'm going
Lakers
for the
minus
40.
4.5, and you're taking LeBron like 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists.
Yes, sir.
All right,
And LeBron and the Lakers will win as well.
all right.
Well, you took the Lakers to cover, so I would hope you would pick them to win.
I hope so, brother. I hope so.
All right, so that's pretty much it. That wraps up this edition of your bet of the episode. We'll see how everyone does, and now it's time to actually conclude the episode in general. Nicholas, we thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you on. You brought a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, a lot of hot takes. I love that, I guess, my man. So it was a really nice to have you on.
Thank you guys for having me on. Thank you, Alex, for inviting me. It was a pleasure being on, and let me know if you guys want me on another time. I'm always happy to come back.
No doubt.
Most
So,
definitely. You were like, you and me and my man Alan Jenkins, and you were our 2 best guests we had so far.
yeah, so yeah, definitely setting a high bar for the rest of the guests that we have on the show. So, anyone else want to comment? Any final thoughts? That's it. This has been episode number 2 of the Get Your Game On podcast with yours truly, and Grassani, Michael Cunningham, Alex Reich, David Baer, Chris Kern, and our guest, Nicholas Baer. Remember, my friends, those who reduce is just fantasy. If you can imagine a world, believe in it, and dive in. See you next time, and until then, stay lit.